The man charged in connection to the death of 11-year-old Mimi Torres Garcia is back in court today. I'm Glenn Kittle. We'll tell you about the details of the pretrial hearing coming up on Fox 61.
Good Tuesday morning. We hope you had a great long weekend. We're glad you're back with us on a Tuesday. I'm Erica Arias.
And I'm Bridget Buer. Though for the most part it was a little rainy over the holiday week, but we finished strong with some sunshine yesterday.
Yeah,
and we
got
hope
to end on a high note,
yeah,
which was nice.
It was really nice, and we hope to continue that, Rachel Piscatelli, through this week.
We're going to at least continue it for the next few days. Mostly dry conditions, and also brighter skies are expected the next two, as well as warmer conditions as well. Hartford right now looks beautiful with a little bit of cloud coverage this morning. A little bit of fog in some parts of the state now. We're going to see that lift within the next few hours or so. Temperatures at 52 degrees currently in the capital, and the wind is calm. Elsewhere, 51 in Torrington, out the door in Waterbury, 51, 57 in Chester, and 52 in Norwich. Wind speeds are fine for this time of morning, anywhere from 3 to 6 miles per hour. We're not really expecting those to pick up in intensity over time. So any cloud coverage now will make way to a partly to mostly sunny sky this afternoon as temperatures move from the 50s into the lower 80s to upper 70s in spots, so a little bit cooler at the shoreline, and you'll see that here with winds that are out of the south this morning, or rather this afternoon. 75 in Milford, 80 degrees in Hamden, 84 in Hartford today, 76 in Brantford, 75 in Niantic, but up towards 80 degrees in Norwich, and 81 in Tallinn. So heading through tomorrow, temperatures will be in the low 60s to start, mid to upper 80s in the afternoon, despite a mostly cloudy sky. There could be a late day passing shower in the afternoon and evening for Wednesday. Not a widespread issue overall. We're going to keep the forecast mostly dry. There is a better opportunity for a sprinkle or two that moves in for Thursday. Cooler numbers settle back in to the forecast to end our work week. We'll have more details on your full weekend forecast too coming up in just a bit. Here at 6:02 on our roadways this morning. We are following some emergency road work over in Norwalk now. This is between on Route 7 between exits 1 and then that's going to be the connector 2 to 95, where we are seeing some delays there on your screen as of now because of that emergency road work. Also seeing delays from Bridgeport into Fairfield at around 13 minutes. Your travel speeds averaging around 29 miles per hour. Darien to Westport looks okay. And then Trumbull into Westport on the Merritt there at 18 minutes. Travel speeds down to around 50 miles per hour. Erica.
Rachel, thanks so much. Well, the man charged in connection to the death of 11-year-old Jacqueline Mimi Torres Garcia is expected back in court today. Jonathan Anita is scheduled to appear for a pretrial hearing. Fox 61's Glenn Kittle is live right outside the courthouse in Torrington right now. Glenn, what are we expecting today?
Yeah, good morning, Erica. Today marks the latest step in the Jonathan Anita case. Right now, last court hearing, he pleaded not guilty to charges of felony murder as well as murder with special circumstances in the death of 11-year-old Mimi Garcia Torres. Last time we came out here, we learned more facts about the case. Right now, prosecutors say that Anita, along with Mimi's mother, Carla Garcia, and the child's aunt subjected the little girl to years of abuse and starvation before her body was hidden for more than a year. Investigators later found her remains inside a storage bin at an abandoned home in New Britain. Back in March, a judge found there was enough evidence for Anita to stand trial after prosecutors laid out details they say connect him to the abuse and the cover-up. The defense has maintained that Anita did not have a legal duty to intervene and should not be held responsible for the child's death. Now, today's pretrial hearing is expected to focus on case status updates, including discovery and other motions ahead of the trial. We'll be inside that courtroom later on today and bring you the latest details on this pretrial hearing later on tonight on Fox 61 this afternoon. Live in Torrington, Glenn Kittle, Fox 61.
Glenn, thank you very much. Also in court, this is happening today. A wrestling coach at Norwich Free Academy is expected in court on 2 charges, assault and risk of injury to a child. Police say Stephen Nelson, you see him here, is accused of hitting a student in the face with an open hand while on school property. This was allegedly during class. According to an arrest warrant, police say the alleged incident happened during a practice on December 30th when the student made a 6'7" joke referring to a viral meme. The student was taken by a parent to the hospital later that day and diagnosed with head trauma and a concussion.
6:04 also today, Governor Ned Lamont is expected at Platt High School in Meriden. That's where he's going to sign the state budget. It's going to happen at noon today. The $28.1 billion budget passed the legislature earlier this month. It uses a recent revenue surplus to boost spending without raising taxes. Now, it includes money for education grants, more than $100 million in financial aid to cities and towns. That's meant to help reduce property taxes. Also, $300 million was invested in Connecticut's Early Childhood Education Endowment, an expansion of the state's tax-free week, and also an increased exemption limit from $100 to $300 per item.
6:05 now. We are just days away from the start of the Atlantic hurricane season. And while Connecticut has been largely spared in recent years from a major hurricane, state officials say people should still be prepared in case of a storm that makes its way up the East Coast. Today at 11 in the morning, local leaders and emergency responders will share what the state is doing to get ready. That is happening at the East Haven Town Beach.
A day on the water took a dangerous turn after a boat caught fire on Candlewood Lake. Now, this all happened yesterday afternoon. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot shows us the aftermath of the inferno in Danbury.
This firefighting foam, or aqueous film forming foam, was used to help put out the fire that was on a boat Monday afternoon.
First responders got a call a little before 4 Monday afternoon for a reported boat fire. Danbury Deputy Fire Chief Jamie Schiller says 6 people, including children, were able to jump overboard into the water. 2 people were taken to the hospital, one with minor injuries and another person for evaluation. He says this incident is a reminder to be safe this summer on boats.
Have the proper safety equipment. Part of that is, of course, going to be a fire extinguisher. Whether or not it would have helped in this case, I don't know. But they also need to understand their vessels, how they work mechanically. We want everybody to be safe. So before you put something in the water, know exactly how your vessel operates, know what safety equipment you need to have on board. I'm sure if they reach out to DEEP, they're certainly happy to provide that with them.
The fire was put out and this incident remains under investigation.
For the time being, boaters are asked to stay away from the area near the Danbury boat launch. In Danbury, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
Firefighters in Branford say a fire damaged a business and an apartment. This was the scene on East Main Street just after 1 yesterday morning. Fire officials say people inside the apartment were woken up by a transformer explosion. And witnesses say a vehicle drove over downed wires and dragged them. Officials say people inside the building were able to get out on their own, and we're told the businesses impacted will stay closed for repairs.
On new this morning, free at 6:07, I-91 South is back open this morning in Windsor after a motorcycle crash. The road was closed for several hours. Unfortunately, no word yet on if anyone was hurt or how many vehicles were involved in the crash. We do have calls out to state police this morning. We're working sources trying to get more information, and when we do, we'll get that out to you.
And at 6:08 this morning, we have developing news out of New Haven, where officers say a woman was stabbed last night. It happened in the area of Henry and Townsend Streets. We're told the victim's injuries do not appear to be life-threatening. Police have not said if the stabbing was random or targeted. We're also still waiting to learn if police are looking for a suspect.
We have a heads up for drivers over there in Milford. The 30-day warning period has begun for speed cameras. Milford police are going to start issuing warning notices to drivers who speed in certain areas instead of citations for the next 30 days. Police say the goal of the cameras is to encourage safer speeds and also help reduce the risk of crashes. The cameras are going to be operating 24/7, and officials say they're placed in high traffic areas and also near schools.
And developing news out of the Korean Peninsula this morning. South Korea's military says North Korea launched a close-range ballistic missile toward the sea. It flew about 50 miles from a city near the North's western coast. And this is the first weapons launch by the North since late April, when it fired several short-range missiles.
The U.S. military says it launched self-defensive strikes in Iran. Among the targets included missile launch sites and boats placing mines. A spokesperson for the U.S. military Central Command says that the strikes were meant to protect troops from threats from Iranian forces. Now, they did not elaborate on what the specific threats were. Iran has not yet responded to the military action. President Donald Trump says the negotiations with Iran were, quote, proceeding nicely before this strike. Iran's foreign ministry said the only focus for now is ending the conflict. However, it said there is no sign that an agreement is imminent. Just yesterday, the president said that any agreement to end the war should include a requirement for several countries to join the Abraham Accord, and that includes Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. It's a deal that the president made in his first term between the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain to normalize relations with Israel.
And happening today in Texas, voters will head to the polls in a runoff election to decide the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate. Incumbent Senator John Cornyn is trying to fend off a challenge from Attorney General Ken Paxton, who just received the endorsement by current President Donald Trump. Both campaigns have spent a combined total of $109 million.
Coming up next here on Fox 61, Hyundai recalling vehicles over a software issue. It could cause brakes to activate unexpectedly. We're going to have more details on who's affected by this.
And Mr. Rogers is making a return to mailboxes across the country. A fan favorite stamp is being reissued after winning a nationwide vote. We'll tell you about it next.
Plus, Pope Leo calling for artificial intelligence to be disarmed. This in his first major document release. More on why the pontiff is pushing for this regulation.